Peace and blessings to you. My name is Jere B. I am the EntreMusician. So are you, and so is this wonderful couple sitting to my left that we're going to dialogue with in just a minute. Actually, picking up a conversation that we started earlier on this wonderful career that the both of them are experiencing simultaneously. Before we do that, though, let's do this. This is called Vocal. Vocal is hitting the street very, 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 very soon. You want to go to drinkvocal.com to learn more. If you talk all day or sing all night, you got to get yourself some Vocal. It's the only beverage on the planet designed to soothe, refresh, and restore your voice. Well, now, what I realized is that the last time that we had a conversation, guys, I did not properly introduce Ragan Whiteside. You know why? Because I figured everybody knew Ragan. If you don't know Ragan, you don't know jazz. I mean, that's just the way I figured it out. But I was thinking, wait a minute. Now, they don't know that she's topped the Billboard Charts with Corey's Bop 2018. They don't know that she has 4 incredible CDs. They don't know that she's worked with Walter Beasley, Tom Brown, Bob Baldwin, Patrice Rushen, Frank McComb, and the list goes on. And they don't know that she's married to the priest of the studio, Dennis Johnson. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ragan Whiteside, wonderful flautist, the wonderful husband, Dennis Johnson. Great to have you guys back on. How are you?
We're doing great. Thank you for having us back. Appreciate it. We're doing great. How are you doing?
And I'm doing absolutely excellent. If I was doing any better, I'd have to clone myself, but I don't believe in cloning, so, it's a little bit of a tightrope. But I'm blessed, man. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to dialogue with wonderful EntreMusicians like yourself. We talked about so much in our last conversation. I want to just jump back into the deep end, because one of the things we were talking about is how Ragan steals tracks. She's a track jacker, right? We want to talk about how Ragan, what she expects if somebody's going to send her a song, because she gets pretty radical about what she expects. We want to talk about the two of you being perfectionists and actually what it takes to sustain the type of journey that you happen to be on in this business. So any one of those you want to jump into, have at it.
I talked a lot the last time. You need to. You be writing tracks that I want to jack. Gosh.
You wouldn't believe those tracks jacked. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. I'm not saying names, though.
No names.
No names.
No. I'd like to work with these.
Yeah, exactly.
So let me stir the pot a little bit, because back in 2010, Ragan was beautiful enough to grace a Sound Doctrine track called Marriage. And so now with what Dennis has said, I wonder what she was saying when she first got that track. Because I'm thinking, the one thing I noticed is that she wanted us to change the melody. I remember that. I remember that email, like, is this melody going to stay like it is? And I thought, well, yeah, that's the melody, but I didn't know you guys like I know you now, But I'm wondering if she was like doing a lot of shredding, like, Dennis, what did you get me into?
I remember that now.
But what do you expect? Let's go with that. Real talk. What are you expecting when someone presents you a track? Because I know you get linked up all the time.
It really depends. If it's a track for me personally, which I rarely play on tracks like that people give me for my own album. It's very rare. I think it may have happened twice.
Yeah.
In 4 albums.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, with that, there's a lot that goes into it, because the flute is you got to know how to write for flute, and And also, I have to be able to feel a connection to the song. And so, if I don't feel the connection, or if it's not the direction that I want to go in for that particular project, then I'm asked. So it's so subjective. It really is. There's no rhyme or reason. It's just, does it feel right, and is it in the direction that I want to go in?
So Dennis was talking in our last conversation about Corey's Bop and how he got started on that. He said he very rarely begins with a melody. This time the melody comes first or came first. For you, do you write melody first? Do you hear melody first, or are you more in what's happening with the rhythm? How do songs come to you?
I would say it's 50-50 for me. Sometimes the melody comes first. Sometimes the groove comes first. Sometimes they come together. So, it's fluid.
So what do you most disagree on in the studio, the both of you? Is there one point that it's like, has there been those sessions, and by your smiles?
Oh, I would say anytime where it's we argue over phrasing.
Yeah.
And if a note is right or wrong, musically correct, because there's a thing. Okay, we are really sticklers for being musically correct. And when I say that, I mean like theory.
Yeah, absolutely.
Try to minimize the amount of rubs that's in a tune. Now, that being said, sometimes there would be a note or a chord that we know it's rubbing, but it feels good. Even with the rub. I mean, look, even Stevie Wonder has a bunch of rubs in his tune.
But it feels so good.
Exactly. Right. And so, and we've had discussions that last days over chord.
That note ain't right.
Well, let's go do that. Oh man.
But it goes the other way too, because sometimes when something is musically right, a certain note playing over a certain chord, just because it is right doesn't necessarily mean
it's right. Yeah.
Exactly. It's got to feel good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're hoping that when it feels good, it actually is musically correct. But you always get that.
Yeah. Right. So when you start a project, is it just a collection of songs that over time you've kind of written together, or do the two of you come and say, okay, well, let's be intentional about this being the theme, or this is the feel that we're going for in the whole project, or is it more organic?
I would say at the beginning, for the first 2 albums, it was probably more organic. It was just a bunch of, you put together a bunch of songs and that's what it is.
Right.
Now it's definitely more, we set a theme. We know, the vibe or the feeling that we want to evoke in the project as a whole. And then, it's like, okay, well, this is it. So it gets to write.
I understand. Make it happen.
Yeah. And then, we each, we write some stuff and we bring it to each other, and it's like, okay, well, this is what I have. Okay, well, you need to fix this over here, and I want you to play this over there, and and the meshing happens, and, and then it becomes a project.
Yeah, we'll finish each other's songs. She'll have a chorus and a verse. She's like, I need a bridge. I got a bridge. I write a bridge. Or I'll have a bridge and a verse, and I'm like, I need a hook for this. I have a hook, so we kind of do a lot of that.
Yeah.
So you are the Ashford and Simpson of your generation.
Yeah.
You know that?
ourselves as ashy and simple.
But yeah.
So let me follow up with asking, it would be interesting for me to see, you know, how your children are navigating as they watch mom and dad make this beautiful music that you do. I mean, what is the atmosphere like in your home in a situation like that? Because they're a part of that, right?
Well, you know what? Right now, they're very, very young.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no working on music when they're awake.
I see. I see.
You know, that's just where it is right now. They are 1 and almost 3.
Yeah.
You know, they require all of our time and attention when they're awake.
Understood.
Go to sleep, then it's on and popping.
Right.
Right now, you know, they know what we do.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll, you know, on a very rare occasion, they'll let us get 20 minutes in. You know. But yeah.
Well, I dug what Dennis put on Facebook just the other day with respect to his son's your son sitting in the back, and you know, See It to Get Down comes on, and he's like, right on, that's mommy, right? You know, so that was a beautiful that was a beautiful post.
Good, yeah, yeah. You screaming it out. That's mommy. Okay,
so what have you learned about this incredible industry? You know, you've had Bob as a mentor, Bob Baldwin, for a tremendous amount of years. What is the most important thing that you think that you've taken from his advice to you, or that you've learned by experience, that you would pass on to someone who's coming up in the ranks?
There's lots of things.
Yeah, and we're still learning.
Yeah, still learning. Mm-hmm. Own your own masters.
Mm-hmm.
Huge.
Mm-hmm.
Elaborate on that. I mean, I know what that means, but elaborate. Owning your own masters, because let me just throw another little wrench in that too, because I was having a dialogue about, you know, masters and whatnot, and somebody asked me the question. I think it was Kermit Henderson out of Cleveland, is a distributor out of Cleveland, said, well, what is a master now in the digital realm of zeros and ones, where a master could be, you know, flawlessly duplicated? It's not like the big 2-inch reels where we thought, okay, well, I own my masters. What do you think? I mean, just jump into that.
Master, really, it's just, I mean, you're right. It obviously can be duplicated digitally, analog, whatever. Your master really is, it could be physical. It could be the actual CD master that you get from
the mastering house
engineer.
Yeah.
Or it can be, you know, if they don't give you the CD, just the 24-bit wave files coming from, you know, the mastering engineer. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it could be, you know, any of those things, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, so back in the day, you know, the whole thing about owning your master, the master recording, that was the only way that you could duplicate from that one physical thing.
Sure,
you know, so as long as you own that, you know, you own how it gets manufactured, duplicated, and distributed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but now it's more of being the rights owner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Somebody wants to license the song from you, you know, they're dealing directly with you. There's a royalty for that, you know, just for owning your own masters.
Mm-hmm. So it's, you know, product, whether it's a physical, a digital, whatever, it's all about being the rights owner. And you control as much as you can these days where it goes and how it gets there.
Absolutely. What are your views on streaming? You know, we're in this, the cat's out of the bag. But what are your thoughts? Don't be politically correct here. Just what are your thoughts?
Well, I think they have a ways to go with royalty rates.
Mm-hmm.
I think you know, they can improve on that. rather. It'd be nice if everybody could come to the table, you know, the musicians and the streaming companies, and come to some kind of, you know, agreement there where, you know, things are kind of fair on both sides.
And standardized. That's the biggest thing, because the rates are all over the place from company to company. And, you know, and of course, every company, their revenue model is different. And so, which is fine, you know, you have the right to have whatever business model you need to have for your company. But at the same time, we're talking about content and content creators, and then whoever's going to be selling the content. So that is going to stay the same no matter what. You know, you're always going to have your content, you're always going to have your content creators, and you're going to have the people making money off of it. So it needs to be standardized in some kind of way. We need to be able to come together, forget about whatever, not even forget about, but just take into account all of the different revenue models, and then come to a general consensus and nail down something that's going to be beneficial to everyone, or else the industry is going to die.
Excellent point. I been teetering back and forth, and I've done several videos about this on the EntreMusician, and I've blogged about it as well with respect to, you know, we talk about control, and we talk about ownership, which are two huge rights that the content owner has and can control, but the distribution of his or her product, there needs to be more ownership. You know, like, we need to be the streamers. There should be some way that we can set up the servers, set up the distribution stream. You know, it's the same thing that they did in the 80s when they cut out the middleman and was selling CDs and, you know, from the trunk of the car. You know what I mean? Because they got more of the pie. You understand what I'm saying? So from a digital level, what is it that the musician, the EntreMusician, the artist can do to have more control, not only on the content that they created, but on the distribution as well? And I think we, as musicians, we need some sort of consortium. NAMM is going on right now. I mean, but there's nothing, you know, on the menu that's talking about musicians actually owning the distribution part too. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Very good point. Yeah.
So,
God rest his soul, Prince was on that.
Absolutely.
You know, as far as, you know, I mean, obviously the streaming thing wasn't happening. Just owning your digital music and selling it straight to, you know, the audience without a record label, just doing it straight. He was a serious pioneer of that. So I feel you on that, you know, doing the...
Absolutely. Because you see that after they got rid of him, and that's a whole nother conversation, but after they did, then the proverbial they, released like 30 albums in one weekend. Like, are you serious? Okay. So this conversation is about Ragan Whiteside and Dennis Johnson. But I just had to, you know, find out what your views were on there, because that's a whole nother rabbit trail that we can go down. The last time that we were in interview, we were talking a little bit about what's next for 2019, what's on the horizon, and you were saying that there's an EP, possibly a whole album coming out, but you didn't have a title to it. But is there a theme? Is there, you know, because smooth jazz is kind of like, yo, we rode the wave, and something else is on the horizon. Do you feel that musically that you're moving in a different direction, or what can we expect from future Ragan Whiteside projects?
If you listen to Ragan's music, even all the way back to the first album, I don't even know if I should even say this. I don't even know if it's even smooth jazz. You know, it's a lot edgier.
The radio promoters listening.
It's got a little more attitude than your average smooth jazz record. You know,
sure.
It just has, you know, just a little more take even, Corey's Bop, for example. I mean, I am flattered and over the moon that record went to number one. To me, it's just, Corey's Bop was just not your average smooth jazz sounding record.
Correct.
So we're hoping that the format is changing a little bit, and maybe it is getting a little more,
inclusive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Inclusive.
Do you think then that, as we see formats go by the wayside, be it smooth jazz or, they killed R&B, back on the stuff that we grew up with. Do you think we'll ever get to a point like we were in the 70s where it was just like, yo, this is the way I feel, this is the groove, and there was a place for it? Do you think we'll ever come back to that?
Yeah, because it swings. Everything is, it's a cycle, and everything is gonna swing back somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you look at classical music, right? Classical music went from being very light and airy to being very romantic and moody. Then it got atonal, and then it came back around to, a lot of pop in there. So even with that, everything, it just kind of goes like this. So, I am hopeful that the same will happen for R&B, jazz, and whatever else comes around. If hip hop.
Yeah.
Look at hip hop.
Yeah,
hip hop has gone from hip hop, a hip to just. The change has been ridiculous. So I think there is a very good chance that we will have some heart and soul back in what's being played.
That's great. That is great. Now, Dennis, we know that you don't only produce and write great stuff for your beautiful wife, but you are in demand from many, many other incredible talent that's out there, not only in your area, but across the nation. You've just done a song that was a theme for a TV show for Melba Moore. Is that correct?
Yes. This is true.
You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes. I had the honor and privilege of working with Melba Pt2. Melba was our house guest. What was that 3 years ago? 4 years ago now? Long story short, Melba was coming out with an album, and we were summoned to write a couple of tunes for this record. And one of the tunes that I wrote for her actually became the lead-off single for her album. It's called "It's My Time Again." Written myself, and one of my main writing partners who still lives up in New York, his name is Zoye Ohisep. Zoe, if you're watching, I gotta call you, bro. And so yeah, we got the deal to do a couple of songs with Melba. So she wound up flying down to Atlanta, and she actually stayed here with us as our house guest as we recorded these and produced these songs with her. And Ragan actually wound up singing some background vocals on the tune, and on both songs actually. And yes, and 3 years later, the lead-off single, "It's My Time Again," wound up being picked up for a television show called "It's Only Halftime," which is coming out this year. I'm not sure what network. They're still sorting that out. But we actually went to a premiere for that TV show a few months ago, and it was really cool. It took place in a movie theater, so it was kind of cool. And then play this trailer for the show, and then hearing the tune, played in the background and stuff. We were just kind of, So really good. Really
That's good. Fantastic, man. Well, any other artists that you've either worked with immediately? I mean, you've got your beautiful wife sitting, right there. But any, that's coming up in either 2019 or above, that's in the works for you?
We do. We have an artist coming out
Her name is Cerise.
Cerise. Let me give you a little background on that. Cerise is the daughter of the gentleman by the name of Ron Cerise, who actually gave me my very, very first break, I guess you can call it, in this music business. When I made this rap record back in the mid-'80s when I was DJing on it, he was actually the producer of this record that we made. And we always kept in touch over the years. And yeah, he has a very talented daughter that is pursuing smooth jazz as a vocalist.
Excellent.
And, wound up, writing some stuff for her, and she's literally going to radio with a single that I co-wrote and produced for her next week.
That's excellent. That's absolutely excellent.
Very excited about that. And another artist in the stable that's coming out as well. She's a TV actress and movie actress. Her name is Holly Joy Gaines. And she's doing an R&B project, a really cool project. She's a killer vocalist, and she has some really nice stuff going for her right now. And I had the honor of, I'm in the process of actually doing her second single. It looks like it's going to be her third single too as well for her project. So you can look out for Holly Joy Gaines. That'll be coming out sometime in the summer, late spring, early summer. Some really cool R&B stuff. We're trying to put the music back into R&B.
There you
go. There's actually chords in this music. So.
Some melody, there's changes, the bridge.
Yeah.
That's excellent, man. That really is. Well, I am so grateful. I really am, for the both of you, and for you guys considering me a friend to grace me with not only this conversation, but the last time we were together, and the 5 last attempts. I beat you to it before that. I'm from Youngstown. You don't get shot twice. You know what I mean? But seriously, thank you. I know that at some point there'll be another track that I submit that Ragan actually said, let's give the guy a shot. So keep watching your email. But this is Ragan Whiteside, and absolutely, if you followed her career for any amount of time, she's an incredibly serious EntreMusician, serious flautist with soul, spirit, heart. Her music will speak to you. You want to go to RaganWhiteside.com. You want to learn more about her husband, Dennis, who is doing great things all over the ATL and beyond. And also, we can't forget to give a huge shout out to Bob Baldwin. He's been a tremendous influence, a wonderfully generous spirit, and it's my pleasure to be able to call him a friend as well. My name is Jere B. I am the EntreMusician. And before I go, I want to ask, is there anything, Dennis, Ragan, you thought I should have asked you about you or your career and I didn't ask? Because if it is, you can fill in the blank right there.
No.
I don't know.
I don't know. Well, I guess as it pertains to your show, for me anyway, I've put out 4 albums and I have never had a record deal.
That's what an EntreMusician is.
And
and you don't need it to get #1 on your own accord, #1 on Billboard, 14 on Billboard right now,
Yeah, we got a 7 on
number 7.
previous
I've had an 18. I've had, it's just, it can be done.
Absolutely.
Done. Because I've chased record deals for many, many years, and I've heard lots of no's, and it didn't stop me. So, and it looks like I'm not gonna say I don't need it, but I'm not gonna turn it down if a great deal comes around. But just anybody who's listening, you don't need a record deal to get out here.
That's what's up.
It's hard. It's hard.
A lot of work.
But you can do it. It can be done.
Impossible.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad I stopped and asked you about that, because that's right on point. You don't need a record deal, and if anybody came your way, Sony or anybody, you would be in a much better bargaining position because you did the work. So God bless you, Ragan. God bless you, Dennis. God bless your family, man. Your home. God bless your music. You guys are on the one, and we salute you, and we'll see you next time. Peace and blessings to you.
Thank you, Jere. Thank you for having us.